love a twist, don't we? That jaw-drop moment, the bit where that book or film we're completely immersed in becomes something that we totally weren't expecting. Just as we're getting comfortable thinking, I know where this is going. Uh-oh. No, you don't. Sometimes the twist happens right at the end, leaving us with that WTF feeling. Sometimes it happens halfway through. Sometimes it just happens when you're least expecting it. So how do you do it? What are the best techniques to use? Do you plan them out? Or do you just write? I'm going to give you 3 top tips, but warning, there are going to be spoilers here. Number 1, subvert expectations. Novels follow generally established conventions and tropes. Authors and marketing departments do this to engage readers. It makes them feel at home. We give them what they're familiar with. Readers are pretty risk-averse. They know what they want to see in every given genre. They expect certain conventional storylines, plot tropes, and character arcs. The best way to set up a twist is to mess with them. Set up those expectations, point them in one narrative direction, and then spin them into another direction, someplace that goes against their assumptions of what's about to happen. So, maybe the guy doesn't get the girl. If the reader expects a secondary character to die, maybe make him the hero of the story. Maybe the protagonist's best friend is actually the villain. Let's think about The Couple Next Door by Shari Lapena. The novel begins with Anna and Marco Conti going to dinner at their neighbour's house. They leave their baby at home, but check on her every half an hour and take their baby monitor with her. Then it's every parent's nightmare when they return home and find an empty baby crib. All hell breaks loose. Anna's parents offer millions of dollars as a reward for the return of baby Cora, but as lead detective Razbak investigates, he suspects that Anna and Marco may have actually been involved in the baby's disappearance themselves as a way of getting money to rescue Marco's failing business. The first twist happens when we discover that Marco actually was involved with the kidnapping, but it's gone awry, and his accomplice has disappeared and baby Cora has been missing for much longer than planned. Marco goes to meet the kidnapper with the ransom money, but when he gets there, someone attacks him, takes the money, and he leaves without the baby Cora. Then we see Anne finding a hidden phone in Marco's office. Marco had used this to contact his accomplice. Second twist happens when Marco calls a missed number on this phone, and Anne's stepfather Richard answers the phone. So now we think, oh, hang on, Richard is involved in the kidnapping. This twist is played out at the end of the novel by Anne's mother Alice discovering that Richard had been having an affair with the neighbour at the beginning of the novel, Claudia, and discovering that he had wanted to use the ransom money in order to run away with her. The final sucker punch of a twist is threaded into the plot by us knowing that Anne has been suffering from postpartum depression. She admits that she can't actually remember what happened when she checked on Cora during the dinner party, and she's terrified that she may actually have killed her baby herself and repressed the memory because she's been suffering from a dissociative memory disorder from when she has been young. At the end of the book, Anne goes to confront the neighbour Cynthia and murders her, but then forgets that she's done so, and the ending of the book is left ambiguous. As we can see, Shari Lapena subverts our expectations 3 times here. 1. We think Marco is implicated in the kidnapping. He is, but not in the way we expect. 2. Once we discover Marco is involved, we are then on his side, and we suspect that Richard or Claudia may be involved. They are, but we don't realise it's because they've been involved in it together. And finally, we've had the seed of Anne's depression and disorder planted since the beginning of the book, but it's only at the end that we see how it's relevant to the whole story when she finally gets her revenge on Claudia. A great way to surprise and shock your readers is to use flashbacks, flash forwards, and non-linear storytelling. You could start your novel at the climax of the story and then flash back to show how the protagonist got into the current predicament. You could have 2 storylines beginning in different parts of the story, one at the beginning and one at the end, and have them converge in a surprising fashion. Or you could flash back to pivotal revelations that reveal ulterior motives or otherwise hidden backgrounds of the characters. that surprise and shock your readers. Take Gone Girl by Gillian Flynn as an example. Halfway through the novel, Flynn reveals that both Nick and Amy are unreliable narrators. Nick has admitted that he's been cheating on Amy with Andy, his former college student, and when Amy disappeared, he lied about this to investigators to avoid creating suspicion. Amy's narration shifts to the present day, and she reveals that she is actually in hiding, and she has been planning extensively for a year to fake her own disappearance when she discovered that Nick was having this affair, and she became absolutely furious about it and wanted to get her revenge. Her pregnancy, years of diary evidence, and all the other things that she puts into the novel were all staged in order to incriminate Nick. Gillian Flynn does this midway through the book, at which point the reader is totally enthralled. Who's going to get away with it, Nick or Amy? The point of playing with narration and timeline narrative in this way is to keep the reader completely on the edge of their seat. We are so enthralled with the story, we don't know how it's going to end, and that is the complete definition of a page turner. My final suggestion for creating that ultimate twist is by using your character's motivations. People are complicated beings. Plots don't need to be all shooting, all slamming, event a minute happenings. Books can be slow burns, where we really get to know who the characters are, where what they decide to do makes sense because we're going through their decision making with them on a journey. Let's take a look at Where the Crawdads Sing by Delia Owens. Kaya is a woman of nature who grew up with an abusive father. When she meets Chase, she's taken advantage of by him. He lies to her and sexually assaults her. Crawdads and the natural life of the marshes are a clear theme throughout the novel. Crawdads are water creatures. They're lobster-like. They have a very hard shell. Early on in the book, Kaya mentions that people always forget about what's inside the shell, and living on her own in the marshes, the townspeople have almost forgotten about her. They have forgotten about what's inside her shell. As the book develops and Chase is murdered, the twist becomes a whodunit. But actually, because we know Kaya so well, it's very clear that Kaya murdered Chase. She had to in order to defend herself, to stop herself reliving her childhood experiences. The townspeople were never going to protect her, and so she had to protect herself so that she could no longer be abused, and she had to stand up for herself and develop what was inside her shell and become the person that she was going to become. This was a plot twist rooted in a really well-developed character. It's something that you could actually see happening because you knew the characters so well. So there you are, 3 suggestions of how to craft plot twists into your novels. You might come up with the twist first, or the twist might come out of doing some intricate character development. Either way, a twist ensures that your reader keeps on turning those pages and won't be able to put your novel down. If you like this video, subscribe to the channel and hit like. Thanks for watching.